Dear white liberals, stop treating black people like they are infants. Dear white liberals, stop babying black folks. Now, I know what you've been told, that we are just these poor, destitute, just desperate, helpless victims in this world who cannot do for self, and we need somebody to save us. Trust me, I get it. I've heard the conversation from the time I was 10 years old when I moved to the Bay Area. I heard it loud and clear. Poor black people. I heard it around me. I heard it to me. I heard it for me. And at some points, I even believed it for me. Poor me. Poor black me. And so you bought into it. And you were told that you need to feel guilty because you're white, first and foremost, right? That's like the foundation. Feel guilty because you're white. Step one. Step two, pity black folk. Now, you may not understand the level of disrespect it is to perceive somebody who is able as unable. How disempowering it is to view and perceive somebody who can do for self as one who cannot. And to go so far with that mentality that you will perpetuate that narrative to them and even preach it back to them. I remember I was in a Whole Foods. Surprise, surprise, huh? I was in a Whole Foods back in the Bay Area. And I remember a older white lady coming to sit with me. I probably was 22, 23-ish at the time, right? A couple years back. And she came to sit next to me. She said, "Oh, is this seat open?" Now, the entire space was open, but she just had to come sit next to me. I said, "Oh, yeah, of course, perfectly fine." I'm open to dialogue, discussion. I'm not the dude to just be like, stay away from me. Even if I'm not in like a talkative mood, I don't care. You can sit where you want to sit. I just might not say nothing. So she sits there and, she opens up her lunch, starts eating. She looks up at me a little bit. I can just see from the corner of my eye. I'm doing my work. Boom, boom, boom. She looks up at me again. She looks up again and she finally just like gives kind of like a sigh, And she's like, it's really unfortunate. And I look up and I said, "Oh, what's unfortunate?" And she said, just like how unfair it is for you guys. Now, I wish I didn't know what she meant. I wish I didn't have context at that moment. I genuinely do. I wish I was clueless as to what she was saying, but I immediately understood where this white woman was going. I immediately knew where she was going with this because I was in the Bay Area. And the Bay Area had a certain sentiment about it. And this wasn't the first time I had had this type of engagement as the first sort of call to action to have a conversation with me. Now, it was never this straightforward, but nevertheless, I knew where this was going. And so she said, "It's so unfair how you guys, are basically treated." And I said, like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, like I'm working at LinkedIn as like the head of, diversity or inclusion or, whatever that department is. And, it's just like, it's so hard for you guys to be able to get opportunity." And immediately the first answer that came in my head, because I just started my marketing business. I just got a few clients and they were white people, funny enough, because that's who was actually wanting to pay me there. And she said, it's just unfair that you guys don't get opportunities. And I look at her and I say, I actually haven't found that to be true. And I told her my little story. And it wasn't even to be controversial. I was still very much a people pleaser, but I just said my reality. I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen that to be the case." And she looks up at me with these Bambi wide eyes. And like, you know what I mean? Like I had said something that had, shocked her entire nervous system. And all of a sudden, I see her go into defensive mode. "Well, but the thing is, and what I've seen, and I can't stand for a lie. Not even in that moment, even in my people-pleasing days, I couldn't stand for the lie." And eventually, she just kind of closed the conversation off. She just couldn't take it anymore. And I realized in that moment, this was the first time when it truly dawned on me that, oh my God, these people really believe we are like infants. We're babies. We can't do anything for ourselves. They really believe this. And there's many of us who have come to believe it as well. Unfortunately, we've really come to believe that we do not have privileges in the 21st century in the Western world, that we cannot do for ourselves, that we need somebody to give us something in order for us to be. Whoa, my mind was blown in that moment. It all connected. The dots connected. The stars aligned in that moment. And I realized, wow, dear white liberal, you really are the problem. There's a quote by Malcolm X. And he says that the greatest, now Malcolm X is somebody whose ideology I do not believe in. And even though his ideology changed at the end of his life when he went to Mecca and, he saw that, oh my God, it's not just black Muslim, Muslims are of every ethnicity, every creed, whatever. And they're good people. They're ones who believe the same as me. That was to the end of his life, right? Unfortunately, his very, very untimely demise, his untimely assassination, call it what it is. But something that I now came to understand to be the reality is he said the greatest enemy of black folks is the white liberal. And I didn't understand when I first heard that. I heard that years ago. And I maybe heard it a few times here and there, but I did not understand it because I was now, dropping this thing of, oh, white people, the enemy, the white man, etc. Stop making excuses for myself. I started to empower myself, finally started a business. And, I started to see that everything that I was believing was actually make believe, that these white people want to suppress you and then, holding you down. And yet there was some of the first clients that I ever had who were willing to pay me for my services when nobody else was. And I was, I wanted everybody as clients. They were the first ones willing to pay me what I was actually worth, as opposed to always looking for a discount or looking to get me to do something for free. You know what I mean? So my belief systems were already changing by the point that moment occurred. And there were a few moments that happened after, of course, that reinforced that. But finally, that quote started to make sense to me. It all clicked. I got it. I got what he was saying. He was saying that these are the individuals who are, claiming to be your ally because they are basically creating a platform for you. They are uplifting your voice when in truth, they're suppressing your power. Because anybody who has you believe that you cannot do for self is disempowering you. That's how that works. If I told somebody, let's say somebody came to me and said, I'm going to start a business. And I said, you can't do that. And they said, well, why can't I do it? And I said, because you're black. I have just disempowered, disenfranchised that individual. Now, they can choose to believe my words or not. But as far as me, the action I've just taken and the words that I've just spoken into that person's life are disempowering words. I told them they can't, and I can give 1,000, because of systemic racism, because of this, injustice, inequality. I can make 1,000,000 reasons up as to why they can't succeed. But at the bottom line, when it's all said and done, I disempower that individual. I stripped power from them to do for self. And I am a part of the problem. So when I say, dear liberal, you are the problem, I'm saying the entire mentality is the problem. I didn't say who you vote for. Well, actually, that could be very much tied into it, right? Politics, etc. But it's the belief system that you're holding on to, is that you believe in white privilege, right? You believe that you as a white person are privileged. Okay. So who are you privileged in comparison to? So if you say you're privileged in comparison to me, what you're basically saying is that I don't have the same opportunity you have. So you're saying I can't do what you can do. That's a disempowering belief system. I know, trust me, you haven't been shown this side, this deck of the card, like this side of the deck. You haven't been shown this side. This is the flip side of the deck. You understand me? The side where the jokers and the trump cards exist. The one that terrified you. You never flipped the card over to realize that there was something else there. You lived your entire life seeing this, oh yeah, black people are victims and, people of color, they really need my help because they can't do anything for themselves. And I got to go out there and, kiss their feet and protest and give them jobs and opportunities because they're black, because they're POCs. I remember when there was no such thing as a POC. That was like a new statement. And, there's a history of that, actually. It's a very political thing. They first called us colored folk. No, they first called us Negroes and then colored, and then African American, and then black, and then, black, and then African American, and then POC, so they can make a bigger group, right? People of color, we need more voters. Let's galvanize them, right? There was an agenda behind that, absolutely. And so you bought into the mentality that these POCs, these people of color, or whatever name you want to give them next, these individuals are lesser than I am. That's what you're actually saying when you say, I need to do for you. I need to give you a different level of leverage in order for you to make it. And the person who buys into that is already believing that they are lesser than. That's how that works. When you believe that you are undeserving, unworthy, inadequate, unable to, you believe that you need a leg up than the other individual. You know, we love to talk about equity and equality, etc. Now, do I believe all people are created equal? Yes and no. Two things can be true at the same time. Yes, we're created equal as far as all humans deserve human dignity and the right to live. That's the human right that exists, right? A right to your own life and a right to your own free mind and your own autonomous behaviors, period. Everything beyond that is going to be an outcome of the decisions that you make. So we want everybody to end in the same place. The communistic mindset of everybody must be in the same place when it's all said and done. That does not exist, and it's actually deeply unfair to everybody. Because you work your ass off and you do the things necessary to get yourself in a better position in life. And then somebody who absolutely did nothing, who was lazy sitting on their ass, is supposed to get the same things that you got. That's a system that disincentivizes the masses to not do anything, to not be productive, to not create, to not build. When you try to force people, you're suppressing some, suppressing many, and you're trying to uplift the others. You're trying to create quote unquote balance and fairness. And by the way, as a dude who grew up in a third world country where there was a dictator for almost 30 years straight who continued to genuinely change the Constitution, right? Not this created mentality of fascism, true totalitarianism. If you spoke out against the government, you're going to jail. The real version of that I was born into. And so I can see the stark difference, the reality that, oh, that system doesn't work. That system creates 80% unemployment. That system creates a literal war zone amongst the people. When people can't uplift, when they can't rise above the environment itself, that creates destruction and decay within that environment. But when you allow people to move as they may, and you empower them to say, you can make of your life what you want to make of your life, it's free game. Now you have people coming up and rising above. May they have started in lesser circumstances, quote unquote, lesser circumstances? Absolutely. They could have started off in a literal hole, a ditch in the ground, and they make their way up to the stars. But they have a choice to do that. And they don't have you in the middle, dear white liberal, who is telling them that they can't do it. And so they might as well just stay in the ditch while you go out and protest for their sake. No. What you're going to tell them is, yes, you can. Yes, you can get out that ditch, and yes, you can do for self. When the hell did a phrase like pull yourself up by the bootstraps become a racial slur or a racist term to tell somebody that they can do for self, to empower somebody? Like, that blows my mind, y'all. The common sense part of me is genuinely mind blown when I hear statements like, well, that's nothing more than, a statement out of the systemic racism or, a projection of white supremacy. I'm like, do we hear the words that are coming out of our mouths? Stop making excuses. Like, stop. And you will get everything that you desire on the other side. I promise you that. When you stop making the excuses bigger than your own dream for your life, when you do the inner work and deal with those inner turmoils, the past conditioning, the belief systems that you are perpetuating, that you do not deserve or you cannot make something happen. When you get past that, because that is a system, there is a system in the way. Don't get me wrong. There's a system that is stopping anybody who is not succeeding from succeeding. And that system is called your belief system. It's the system that stopped me from putting my gift out into the world. And so I couldn't profit from my gift. I couldn't make the impact, and I couldn't have the financial success that I am now experiencing as a direct result of me making one decision. Don't let an excuse get in the way, but instead let your vision or let your dream be bigger than any excuse that you have. And don't listen to anybody who's going to say anything in contradiction. They're not your friend. They're not your ally. They are a foe when it comes to your dream. Dear white liberals, stop treating us like we are infants. We are babies. We are children. If you want to be a true ally, go out there and be productive. Drop knowledge, drop wisdom on how to build wealth. Do that if you want to be a quote unquote ally. I don't need another picket sign. I don't need another protest outside. I need another business built. I need another mentor to bring an individual into business. I need that. That's what I need. I need more true educators and enlighteners. I need individuals who are going to speak truth to power. I need those who are going to speak life into. We don't need any more sympathy. We don't need any more sympathy, pity, woe is you. We don't need any more of that. We're done with that. We're over it. This is a new age now. This is a new age now. It's the age of empowerment.
I used to be afraid of the dark, place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see